Hey there, Care Blazers. Welcome back to Care Blazers TV, your place for dementia tips, resources, and self-care. In today's video, I'm going to share with you 4 ways to get through the most difficult caregiving situations. If you're new to Care Blazers, welcome. Make sure you hit the subscribe button so that you don't miss out on any dementia information, and welcome to the place where we talk about anything and everything dementia. I don't think anybody could argue with the fact that loving and caring for somebody with dementia is a difficult, tiring, oftentimes frustrating thing. And even though there are plenty of good things that does come from loving somebody with dementia, there are plenty of negative effects as well. There's a lot of research out there that shows that simply caring for somebody with dementia places you at a higher risk for a long list of physical and emotional effects. For example, did you know that caring for somebody with dementia increases your risk of death compared to people who do not care for somebody with dementia? In one study that was conducted over a 4-year period, they found that people who were caring for somebody with dementia were 63% at higher risk of dying over that 4-year period compared to non-caregivers. Loving and caring for somebody with dementia is no joke, Care Blazers. It is serious stuff. And that is why I stress in a lot of my videos the importance of taking time to take care of yourself. Simply by loving and caring for somebody with dementia, your health is at risk. And it's important that we do whatever it takes to keep you as healthy as long as possible. In just a minute, I'm going to share with you my 4 favorite tips for staying calm when you are in the middle of a very difficult caregiving situation. But first, I want to continue talking about the negative effects that loving and caring for somebody with dementia has on your body. In addition to you being at a higher risk of death compared to non-caregivers, you are at an increased risk, or research has shown that you are at an increased risk for having a weaker immune system, for having nutritional problems, for having chronic sleep problems such as difficulty falling asleep or staying asleep. You are even at a higher risk of developing dementia yourself. Research studies have shown that caregivers, specifically spouses caring for their spouse with dementia, are 6 times more likely to develop dementia themselves. 6 times. As if that list of physical problems wasn't enough, being a dementia caregiver also places you at increased risk for depression and anxiety. Caring for somebody with dementia is naturally going to come with some stress. That's normal. However, if you don't have things that you are doing to manage the stress, to lower the stress, to take care of yourself, then that stress has a much higher, significantly higher chance of turning into depression and anxiety. So you have to realize that taking care of yourself isn't selfish. In fact, it's necessary for you to be the best caregiver possible for your loved one. In today's video, we are going to talk about ways that you can manage the stress of caregiving. There are many different ways to manage stress, and everybody has their different preferences. And it's important to have a variety of things that you can enjoy doing to help manage stress so that you're not just using the same thing over and over. On the most basic level, you just want to have something that you do for yourself every day that brings you a little bit of joy, that does something to help you. A minimum of 1 thing a day. Examples of things that some of the caregivers I know do to help manage stress are things like going for a walk, listening to music, enjoying a cup of coffee in a quiet, peaceful, relaxing environment, journaling, calling a friend. My personal favorite, cuddling some dogs. In fact, this dog right here is laying at my feet right now. Basically, just anything and anything that you can enjoy. 1 thing a day at a minimum. And if you'll notice from the list that I mentioned so far, they don't have to be activities that take a long time. They don't have to be activities that even cost money, okay? So it's just important that you're doing something that is meaningful to you, that is helpful to you. Now, I know that some of these things may not seem all that significant. They're just little tiny activities. However, they do add up to helping you manage your stress. If you go by day, not doing anything for yourself, putting your own health and well-being and interests last, that stress is going to build and build and build until you end up like one of the many caregivers who end up getting depression and anxiety. So these things are important even though they seem really small. And if you are like one of the many caregivers who suffer from depression or anxiety, it's still important that you do these things on a daily basis in addition to whatever treatments you may be going through for your depression and anxiety. If you don't take care of yourself, who is going to take care of your loved one? Okay? And if you don't take care of yourself, what kind of person are you going to be, and in what kind of health are you going to be after your loved one is no longer around? You have to put your health first. You have to make yourself a priority. All right, are you ready to hear about my 4 tips? So I created a worksheet with my 4 favorite tips for calming down and relieving some stress in the middle of the most difficult caregiving situations. Because I know caregiving is a difficult challenge and you can't just stop whatever you're doing to grab a cup of coffee or call a friend, these 4 tips are things that you can do in the middle of a caregiving situation while you're providing care to kind of help lower your stress levels. I put the worksheet together, and I'm going to try to find a way to put a link below in the description so that I can even send you a copy of this worksheet that I made. But it's got my 4 favorite tips, and it uses the acronym CALM because that is what often many of you need in the middle of a stressful caregiving situation. Okay, so these 4 tips can be used like I said, when you're in the middle of a difficult caregiving situation, or they can even be used at any time. If you're feeling good and peaceful and relaxation and you just want to practice your self-care skills, nothing wrong with doing these any time of the day. Using the acronym CALM, let's start with C. C stands for coping statements. So when we are in difficult situations, and in fact, all the time throughout the day, we are talking to ourselves in our minds. And what I want you to do with C is to develop coping statements. Basically, these are things that you would say to yourself in your mind when you are feeling stressed out. It's important that you're mindful of your thoughts because what you think has a huge impact on the way you feel and then ultimately the way you behave. So if you are in the middle of a stressful caregiving situation, start saying your coping statement in your mind rather than thinking, oh my gosh, I am so sick and tired of, my mother's behaviors. Why can't she just change? I can't take this anymore. Instead, you could say something like, this is hard, but I know I will get through it. This strategy has worked for so many people. Please give it a try. Make up whatever coping statement or mantra you think would be most helpful to you. Whatever makes most sense for your situation. Write them down, memorize them, and practice them in your mind. When you are feeling frustrated, stressed, and you're in the middle of a caregiving situation, simply changing that automatic negative thought that you have in your mind when you're caring for your loved one and switching it to a coping statement that's realistic, not just fake and fluffy and saying everything's going to be perfect, but that's realistic, telling yourself, I've got through these situations before, I will get through it again, I'm doing the best that I can, I'm not perfect. Replacing your thoughts with something like that can go a long way in helping you get through a difficult time. All right, let's move on to A. A is for air, and what I mean by air is basically deep breathing. Research shows that deep breathing helps lower blood pressure, it helps to calm people down, and it helps to relieve muscle tension. So take controlled, deep breaths You want to breathe in for several seconds, hold, and breathe out for several seconds. You want it to be controlled and rhythmic, but please do this while you're caregiving if you're finding yourself feeling stressed out. And in fact, practice it when you're not feeling so stressed, just so your body can get used to the way deep breathing feels. All right, the letter L, the third letter in calm, it stands for leave. Now this can be used in two ways. You could leave physically or you could leave mentally in your mind. So if you are in the middle of a frustrating task and you're able to leave without putting your loved one's safety at risk, simply step out of the room, take a minute, then return. Literally leave the situation while you repeat your coping statements and practice your deep breathing on top of that. If you're unable to leave the room because maybe your loved one would be in danger, then take a little mental vacation and practice visualization. This is leaving in your mind. This is where you can picture yourself in a situation that would bring you joy, that brings you comfort, that brings you peace. Perhaps it's you sitting at the beach, feeling the sun on your skin, watching birds fly, listening to the waves. Maybe it's you on a hike in the woods, or perhaps it's you just sitting on the front porch with your loved one with dementia who seems calm and happy and smiling. Whatever it is that brings you peace, comfort, picture yourself there and take yourself there even when you're in the middle of a frustrating situation. This is a good way to escape pressure of reality when it feels like it's just getting too much. M is for movement, move. So physical exercise is a wonderful thing to relieve stress. It's a wonderful thing to boost mood. It naturally sends endorphins to your brain to make you feel better. I'm not talking about going out and running a marathon. I'm just talking about moving your body, getting blood flow going, getting oxygen to your brain. So whether that's going on a walk, maybe even with your loved one, stretching, doing dancing, whatever it takes, whatever you like to do to move, consider moving. So those are my 4 tips for managing, surviving, and thriving in difficult caregiving moments. Practice your coping statements, do some deep breathing, remove yourself from the situation mentally or physically, and then moving yourself. All right, Careblazers, if you are interested in a PDF version with some examples and further description on each of these tips, I'm going to do my best to figure out a way to put a link to my worksheet in the description below so that if you click on it, you can get a copy. So give it a try. Hopefully I can figure that out. All right, so thanks for tuning in, Careblazers. If this video has been helpful to you in any way, please let me know in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe so you can stay updated whenever a new video is posted weekly on Sundays. And I look forward to seeing you again next week. Thank you. Bye.